All right, so anyone who knows me could probably guess a shed hunting video is coming eventually. I'm going to talk a little bit about shed hunting, and if you stick around to the end, I'm going to give you guys some good tips. And I think it's only fair. I'll do some show and tell. I've brought some good antlers with me. I'll show you guys some examples of some good mature animals, and also a variety of species as well. So stay tuned, and I hope you guys enjoy this one. So usually when I bring up shed hunting to someone who has no idea what it is, show them pictures of some antlers. Their immediate reaction is, why would you hurt that animal just to take the antlers? Seems cruel. So they don't really understand the process of antler shedding. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to make a video just to try and explain at the basic level what antlers are and why they shed and how that ties into shed hunting. So on every member of the deer family, so that's deer, elk, moose, caribou, etc., the males grow antlers, and they use that for fighting during the rut. And I think it's probably a bit of a posturing display. Like the bigger the antlers, the better the male, and the more likely he is to find a partner and reproduce. But what happens is they start growing these antlers in the summer. They'll grow them all summer and early fall. The velvet's a very sensitive skin that grows on the outside of these antlers. Antlers are pure bone. So in order to make this bone grow as fast as possible, they have to pump a lot of blood nutrients into that bone to grow fast. So they'll grow them quickly all summer and into early fall. And then what they'll do is once they're done growing and they harden into a hard bone, they want to get rid of that velvet on the outside of the antler, so they're rubbing it on trees and branches and bushes, and that peels that dead skin off. And at the same time, it colors up that white bone into, depends on the environment they're in, right? So usually colors them up into a dark chocolatey brown color, and that's what we're all after, is fresh brown sheds. But they'll use those antlers for the rut, fight off competition, other males, and find mates. And then ultimately, after the rut's done, the male's testosterone drops drastically, right? So they go from like a crazed fighting male to just pretty docile and chilled out and exhausted. Honestly, they don't eat a lot during the rut. They're just very focused on what they got to get done during the breeding season. So they're pretty weak and worn out. And going into the winter, I mean, it's cold, harsh conditions. There's not a lot of food to be had or nutrients. So they don't need the antlers anymore. So they're biologically, their body just decides to drop them and get rid of them so it can help them get through the winter. So as I understand it, there's a layer of cells between the skull and the antler. And where they attach is the part of the skull is called the pedicle, and then the round part that attaches to the pedicle is called the burr. And when the antlers are fully formed, that's all one piece of bone. But this layer of cells, once the testosterone drops, it'll deteriorate. So it's kind of like, I suppose, a child losing their baby teeth, right? Eventually it's just time, and the body sends out signals. That layer of cells deteriorates, and those antlers just fall off naturally. So antlers just fall where they may, right? They can fall while the animal's laying in its bed. It could fall while the animal's walking down a game trail. They could fall off. They're rubbing their antlers on some bushes. It's just enough pressure. The antler pops off. But yeah, then the animal goes off. They spend the winter with no antlers. And they get through the harsh conditions. And then comes springtime and early summer, they start to regrow their antlers. So you'll see where the old antlers existed, there'll be little bumps, and they'll start growing and growing and growing. They grow very fast all through the summer, and then are fully formed by the fall. So then what happens, come the springtime, people like me like to go and hike around the mountains and the woods and pick up these shed antlers that have naturally fallen off the animal's head, right? So, I mean, they could be anywhere. As I said, they could be in the beds, they could be on the trails, they could be in the feeding areas. They could be just about anywhere. And I guess the goal for a shed hunter is you want to find them as fresh as possible. You can get them super fresh where they're still perfectly colored, like brown color, and then even at the burr at the bottom where it's white, because that's the part that was attached to the skull and hasn't been rubbed on any bark or bushes or anything like that. So it's pure white, but you can actually see like a red ring of the old blood cells. So that's pretty exciting, and that's the goal, is to find fresh brown antlers. If an antler falls in the winter or the spring, you pick it up that following spring. That's a fresh antler. Congratulations, that was what the goal was. But say that antler sits there for a whole year, and then you get into that area and pick up that antler. That's what we would call a hard white. So that's an antler that's it's probably lost a lot of its color because that brown color bleaches out in the sun, right? So unless it's sitting in shade and everything's perfect, chances are it's not going to be pure white, but it's going to have most of that color faded off. The other risk of that, of an antler sitting out for a year, is in some environments the rodents get after it. So squirrels and mice and porcupines, they chew up that bone and get a lot of nutrients and minerals out of the antler itself. So sometimes you'll walk up on an antler, it's been sitting there for a year, and all the tips are all chewed off, or even worse, they've chewed down the main beam of the antler, and that's just the animals getting after it. If that antler sits there for 2 or 3 years, it'll really start to turn white. It'll bleach right out, and in some hot environments, they'll crack real bad. So once it starts to crack, and it's just all the moisture is getting sucked out of them, they start sort of they flake and fall apart. So that's what you would call a chalk antler, and it's fine, but it's not as exciting as finding a brown. I mean, for me personally, I've picked up a lot of antlers over the last several years, and yeah, you could find antlers that are just chewed down to nothing, essentially garbage, or you find those super fresh ones that just fell off the animal like in the last couple of weeks, and that's always the most exciting. But sometimes it's fun, even if they're not fresh antlers. You just find unique ones, even if it's sat out in the outdoors for 5 years, but it's got like a whole bunch of points, and it's just super unique, and there's no other antler like it. That's still exciting to pick up, and you can hold on to that for your collection. I'd say some of the benefits of shed hunting, like physically, yeah, I mean, it's such a good workout. Like just climbing these mountains, and I mean, it's exhausting, and it's kind of a low aerobic activity, but man, like, does it ever keep the weight off, and keeps your muscles strong, and it also keeps you in shape for hunting season. I mean, I couldn't imagine not hiking all year and then just, it's hunting season, away you go, and you haven't hiked for the last 8 months. So I mean, if you're shed hunting in the spring and the summer, that just keeps you in shape, and when it's go time for hunting season, you've already carried the pack around. All you're doing is throwing a rifle or a bow on the back, and away you go. So I think it's really good for your physical health. I also think it's really good for your mental health, right? I think it's like any form of exercise. If you're just sitting around all the time doing nothing, man, your body is not getting to release the energy it needs to, right? So if you're always hiking, always climbing the mountains, and just going for long hikes, like I said, goes for any kind of exercise. You're going to the gym, that's great too. And I just think you need to burn that energy to keep your mind relaxed and sort of worn out. I see it a lot. I feel like a lot of people who are like, I don't know, man, just caught up in drama, or they're always complaining, or life's not fair, or someone's done them wrong. Those are the people that don't exercise a lot. I think when you're totally burnt out at the end of the day, you're too tired to care what other people did. You're too tired to care about what's going on in the world. You're very like focused on, I'm burnt out and it's time to go to bed, and I don't really have time to hear about everyone else's problems. And I think that's good for people. I think it's good for your mind, your mentality, and yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I think if people really knew how much time I spent in the mountains hiking around shed hunting, they'd probably think I got a few screws loose, and they might be right, but I'm so into it and so addicted to it. It's such an adrenaline dump when I like walk up on a really nice, fresh shed, especially when they're in there, and you go in, a few days in a row, and you don't find anything, but you just know they got to be there, and then you just turn the corner one morning, and boom, big brown fresh antlers. Nothing more exciting than that. I get so pumped up on it. Um, you know, I don't know if people will agree with me, but for me personally, I think I might actually like shed hunting more than I like actual hunting. I mean, I love hunting, straight up, but man, something about shed hunting. You don't have to be quiet. I don't have to pack around as much gear. I can move a lot faster. I'm probably going to have more opportunities to accomplish what I'm after. You know, during deer season, you got 1 or 2 tags, and you're going to get 1 or 2 opportunities to fill those tags. But with sheds, it's as many sheds as you can find, right? So it's an activity that keeps me going all spring and even into the summer. And it's also beneficial for learning new hunting spots, learning where the bucks actually hang out, learning their patterns. Um, yeah, I love shed hunting. I think it's really valuable if you are a hunter. You should get out there in the off season. It doesn't just have to be during hunting season, and you're going to learn a lot about the land and the terrain and the animals and their habits and behaviors. And yeah, come home with some awesome antlers to throw up on the bookshelf to display. So I promised at the end I'd give you guys some shed hunting pro tips. So here's a couple for you. Shed hunting can be a lot like actual hunting. Those sheds can be spooky. They're wary. You got to make sure you approach downwind. You don't want an antler to catch your scent. Helps to wear camouflage. See them before they see you. But I'm just joking. That's not true at all. You can wear whatever you want shed hunting, and it's just a lot of fun to get out there. But some actual real tips, I would say. I mean, honestly, there's no shortcuts. You just have to hike and hike and hike and hike. I mean, you might get lucky once in a while and you find them right out of the gate, but you're definitely gonna have to put in the miles to find sheds, and especially to find them consistently and find lots of them. This is kind of basic shed hunting info, but like south facing slopes is a no-brainer. Snow melts off those first, so that's where those animals are going to want to be, right? You know, they're going to want to be in the sun. It's cold. That's where the vegetation is going to grow up first, so it's the first chance they get to get some fresh food. I mentioned it before, but walk game trails. So figure out where the animals' beds are, where they're spending most of their time relaxing. It's probably going to be in a place that they feel secure. They got a good vantage point. They get, the wind's coming up in their face. Their backs are protected. And you know what? Like, wintering zones and bedding zones change depending on the species you're after. You're not going to find the deer hanging out where the elk hang out, where the moose hang out. And, that's not a hard and fast rule. I mean, sure, there's some overlap, but generally speaking, if you're going after deer sheds, at least where I live, in the mountains, blacktail deer, it's not going to be the same places where the moose and the elk are dropping antlers. So just got to kind of figure out their habitats and, again, get in there, spend time, walk the game trails, figure out where the beds are, figure out where the feeding areas are. I can't tell you how many antlers I found, like, in the feed. Like, if they're eating buds off a bush and that's where they're spending a lot of their day, man, look in those bushes, because you'll look down one day and there's like, boom, there's a bird sitting right there looking up at you. And I don't know how many times I've walked by antlers, and once I realized that they could be in the vegetation, you have a closer look and you'd be surprised you could find them. Yeah, antlers are really camouflage. It's insane. It doesn't matter if they're brown or white. Sometimes, like, brown ones, obviously, they look like sticks, man. Like, you're walking through the woods and you're looking for something that looks like a stick in a forest full of sticks. So you got to move slow and you got to look carefully. A lot of times you're just going to spot like a tine sticking up, or you're going to see that burr poking out of some grass, or there's going to be the perfect curve to a stick that just can't be a stick, right? And that would be another tip, is anything that you see that just looks out of place or looks like it could be an antler, either throw your binos on it just to confirm, or just walk up to it and check it. I've spotted antlers from a long ways away, and I didn't even realize I wasn't sure they were antlers until I walked right up on top of them. And you're just like, I'm so glad I walked over here and checked that. I've literally stepped on antlers. Like, it's embarrassing, but you'll just be randomly walking through the woods, and then all of a sudden, like, you just look down and it's at your feet. And like, how did I not see that? I was walking up on it for like the last like 2 minutes. But it happens, man. And like, yeah, I can only think of how many antlers I've walked by. That would be another piece of advice: is you are never going to find all the antlers. I don't care who you are. I have worked zones day after day, week after week, season after season, and I'm always picking up antlers I've missed. It's like embarrassing. You're like, how do I not find these antlers? I've walked this place so many times, and they're so camouflaged. Like they could just be on one side of a bush and you walk on this side of it. Or I've literally sat on logs eating lunch and I've looked back and there's a shed sitting on the other side of the log. You're like, how have I sat here for 10 minutes and not seen that shed sitting there? It happens. That's another good tip is impact points or spots. So if an animal's running over a game trail and it's got to jump over a dead tree or a log, chances are I found like sets just sitting there on the other side of the log. Not every log and not every time, but once in a while you do find those, so it's worth looking. Ditches or little whatever, like gullies where like an animal's gonna have to like drop down, hit, and then go up. You find antlers in the bottom of those draws all the time. Yeah, and other times they're just sitting out in the open, just picture perfect. You're like, there's an antler, boom, did it, congratulations. That's my day. Trying to think of other tips I can give here. Areas that are good for one animal are probably good for another animal. So if you find a zone where you're finding antlers, go back there next year because there's no reason why the animals won't go back there. It's a wintering zone, right? So you got to remember every year these animals are dropping their sheds year over year over year, right? So if you pick up a handful of brown sheds in one spot this year, I would for sure go back there next year because you're probably going to find more sheds. Like I don't see why another deer, if not that or animal, if not that same animal, wouldn't go back time and time again to that zone that they like. So it's definitely worth going back to the same areas. And that also goes into finding pockets. So for sure, you'll like walk a whole mountain face. Like I've covered mountains and it's only a couple of spots. Like I don't find antlers everywhere, but you get into a pocket and they're just like, I remember one of my best ones in the last few years. I was really kind of confused. Like it was such a good zone for deer antlers, and I wasn't finding any good ones, and they're very sporadic and not many for the amount of time I put in there. And then I got into this zone, this pocket, and I picked up 13 antlers in my first pass there. And of all ages. So there was like old chewed up ones, and there was fresh brown ones. There was forkies. There was 4 points. I was just like, blew me away, right? But that's how you find your good hunting spots too. Those bucks like those areas. So yeah, that's on my list of places to hunt every year now because I know the bucks go there at some point. Great place to put trail cameras too and see when those bucks show up. And then you also get to see when they drop their antlers. But you don't want to go in too soon and bump your deer and spook them. Yeah, really like think about, and this changes depending on the species you're after, but why are those animals there? Why are they comfortable in this little pocket? Is it the food, the shelter, safety from predators? They have an advantage in that area. Yeah, I think that's all the tips I can really think of. If you guys have any specific questions, just post them in the comments. I'm happy to answer them. I'm no expert. I don't claim to be. But I've been pretty obsessed with shed hunting over the last number of years, and my pile's getting pretty big. I actually had to do a purge, and anything that wasn't less than perfect or unique, I got rid of. I chopped a bunch up into dog chews and sell them. So yeah, I'm not going to get rich off that, but whatever. Do something with them, and the dogs love them. I get a couple bucks and go towards gas. Yeah, so I mean, shed hunting is just another one of my passions, and it's another great opportunity to be in the outdoors. Any excuse to be outside. It's not the greatest day today. It's pretty windy. I don't think I'm going to do too much fishing this afternoon unless this wind dies down. But yeah, I'll play a few shed hunting clips from just this spring. Had a pretty good spring for sheds, and did take some videos, so I'll post a few of those after this, and it'll give you guys an idea of how shed hunting looks and kind of what to expect when you're out there. So yeah, best of luck. Enjoy. All right, as promised, a little show and tell. I'm going to show you guys some shed antlers. We'll do blacktail deer first. We'll do some mule deer second. Then we'll do some elk, and we'll finish with moose. So starting with blacktail, this gives you an idea. This is a blacktail shed I picked up this spring. Not huge, but lots of gnarling. Pretty interesting buck. This is one I picked up a couple springs ago. Similar in age class, but very palmated. Pretty interesting, to be honest with you. Never did find the other sides of these. I looked long and hard, but never did. Lastly, I brought my my best set. So it's so funny because this set probably got me into shed hunting. I was out just for a walk, just to explore an area, and I picked up the smaller side of this set, walking my buddy's dog, actually. I couldn't believe it. And as soon as I found that, I was hooked, and I spent the next like 2 months looking for the other side, and I lucked out and I found it. It was like almost 2 kilometers away as the crow flies, and yeah, I matched it up. I couldn't believe it, and since then I've been hooked, and I have not found another set as big as this. I found big sets, but this is like for sure my best blacktail set. So you got to remember, blacktail deer aren't as big as mule deer. They certainly don't grow as tall, and they kind of basket in, right? But that's a beautiful blacktail set. Super mature buck, big bases, lots of gnarling. Yeah, couldn't be happier with that. But this lets you know they're out there. You just got to keep hunting and keep looking and figuring out your zone, and you might get lucky and find someone like this. Next, I guess we'll jump to mule deer. So I don't think this is a set. This is 2 different 3-points, but gives you an idea the difference in size. This is a pretty good size 4-point mule deer. This is a bit smaller and younger of a buck, but it's super fresh and brown. I found this last year. White burr on the bottom. But I'll show you, if you take, I bet you these bucks are similar in age. So that's, you know, and it's old too, right? Like, see the cracks? But age-wise, compared to that blacktail shed, right? They're just so much more tall. But bases aren't terribly different in size. So age category, not terribly different. But it gives you a good idea of the difference between a mule deer and a blacktail deer as far as antlers go. Just because you find a smaller blacktail shed doesn't mean it's like a lesser quality buck. It just means they just don't grow the same. They don't grow as tall and as big, but you're always paying attention to gnarling at the bottom and the bases. And then I got one special mule deer shed here. It's ancient. This is what we would call a chalk for sure, but something special, man. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 point on one side. I scoured this zone to find his other side. I never did, man. It's a big eye guard. Ancient, but this is what I mean by this is a unique antler. I would never get rid of this. I would kill to find it brown, but I'll take them when I can find them when they're like, just got so much character. So yeah, that's blacktail and mule deer. I got a big set of Roosevelt elk sheds here. I don't think these are a match. Well, I know they're not, but it'll give you an idea of the potential that how big these antlers can get. Oh, so heavy. So yeah, like I said, these are not the same bull at all. But man, when you look at the size of their bases, That's a mature bull for sure. I actually think I have the other, not the other side, but the same side to this guy, but brown. I was just going through my pile before this trip, and I put them side by side, and I'm like, I bet that's the same bull. But you can just see on these Roosevelt elk, look how big, how much palmation there is, how much mass. Just tanks. Anyways, I get excited. So yeah, that's a nice mature bull. As is this guy. God, that's a beast, man. I would kill to find this guy brown. So cool. So you know they're out there, and that's what keeps me going, right? If I could find a set like this, but brown, just put a fork in me, I'm done. And I got one more set to show you guys. I've actually picked up quite a few moose sheds over the years, and some good mature bulls for sure. But this set's like kind of exceptional. Like he's, I can't believe I matched him up and found both sides of this brown set, and I don't know if I'll ever do it again. I never saw him again. I never picked up any antlers off him again, but I feel super fortunate to have picked this guy up. Like seriously, like look at that bull. He's got everything going on. Huge kicker off the back. Huge brow tine. Like honestly, all the other moose sheds I've picked up are like okay, but like this guy's huge, man. I can't believe I picked him up. But that was a lot of time of working that area, knowing where those bulls drop, where they bed, where they feed, their travel patterns. And man, did I ever get lucky picking up this guy. Just a tank. Yeah. That's what keeps me motivated, trying to match this guy up. I don't know if he's getting bigger or smaller, but I can only hope bigger, and I can only hope one day I'm going to pick up the other another set off him. And brown too would be nice. But man, what a tank. So yeah. So that just gives you a bit of an example of some decent sheds from each species. Yeah, you're just, I don't know, you're just always chasing that goal, finding the bigger, browner, fresher set of antlers off a mature animal. And yeah, you find a lot in between, right? Like this year I picked up so many brown 3-point deer sheds, black-tailed deer sheds. It was almost getting like ridiculous. I'm like, another 3-point, another 3-point, another 3-point, another 3-point. And yeah, you just got to keep weeding through those smaller bucks, and hopefully you're going to walk into a big buck eventually. And yeah, once you know where he drops his antlers, gives you a good idea of where he's spending his time, and maybe get a little insight into where his bedroom is. And come hunting season, you can really you can dial in on that. So anyways, I would love to see your guys' sheds. I mean, this is the best I could come up with over the years. So if you've got some big blacktails, muleys, big Roosevelts, big bull moose, like post your pictures and comments in the comments below. I'd love to see them, man. I get pumped off seeing other people's antlers too, and it motivates me to keep going. So yeah, thanks for sticking around and watching this video. It's a bit of a longer one, but I love shed hunting to death, and it's a big passion in my life. So yeah, take care, and thanks for tuning in. Just walking up here because I know my camera's higher up on the ridge. Oh man, that's so awesome. I get to hear, and I'm just looking up over the edge, and I glance to my right. I'm like, oh my God, that looks like a good one. Oh, and it looks brown too. Oh man, I'm so pumped. Can't even explain it. Just gonna walk up on it for the first time. Yeah, that's a brown. Nice. Dude, that's a great buck. Look at that. Oh, the gnarling, big eye guard. Definitely 3-point. Oh, something's been gnawing on it a bit, but not, oh, sorry, but not too bad. Oh, that's awesome. So pumped. All right, I'm gonna do a pickup. All right, everyone. This is it. So exciting. It's exactly what I'm always looking for. Oh, sweet. For real? Oh man, look at that. That buck is just such a basket buck. Look at the gnarling. That's an old deer. Dude. Oh, that's perfect. That just totally made my day. I couldn't ask for anything better than that. Except maybe to find the other side, which is, as I understand it, big bucks can drop their antlers pretty close together at the same time. So, man, I am absolutely going to have to do some circles. Oh, dude. I just love all the gnarling. Look at all the bumps at the base and the big bladed sharp eye guard. This is kind of bladed. Gotta wonder, he's probably regressing, eh? What was he before? That's just awesome. I couldn't be happier with that. Anything else but that. And I just started and I'm at the top. But look how much that would have like. Such a cool buck. Oh man. This is why we're out here and this is what we're looking for. Friggin' awesome. All right, sweet. Like I'm just making my way out. I hiked for a long time and as much as I could for the time I had, but couldn't find anything. And my truck is literally just right there over the hill. And again, using the GPS to track your lines, I was like, you don't want to walk right down the exact same line you went up this morning. So I cut like from here to there to the right, and there's a 3-point antler sitting right there. From here, I'd say it's last year's if I had to guess, but I'll turn the camera around and show you. All right, well, I earned this one. I am freaking hot. I'm tired. Yeah, I'm gonna say that's last year's. They get baked out here. It's just so hot. Like the antler's literally really hot to the touch, but there's a bit of color on the back. He's got a little cheater off the back there. Better than nothing. Yeah, I think with that color on the back, it's probably last year's. See that little camera on the back. A little bit of color still. Yeah, I'll take it. Right on. All right, well, this has never happened before, so I might as well take advantage of this, and I'll just do a quick walkthrough to show you just how close and how straight of a line these 3 antlers were in. So there's the first one I walked up on. Stay on the trail, get to his bed. Through the bed, down by the rock. Really cool antler other side. And then you just keep walking this way. And the final one. I mean, what the hell? This never happens. Oh, this is awesome. This has been the best couple of days of shed hunting for browns I think I've ever had. So pumped. All right. Oh. There's the other side. Wow. That is awesome. It's got 3 points on that G2. Oh, just as fresh as be. Brownies. That's awesome. What a sweet set. I mean, what's happening? This never happens. And then I didn't do a pickup for this one, but a little 3-point. Oh. There you go. Size comparison anyways. Those are awesome. Just fresh. Beautiful brownies.